But let's go back to Nedum Onouha and discuss Sergio Aguero, the great, who, as you heard, Pep Guardiola has described today as irreplaceable. Nedum, where do you stand on that? Is he irreplaceable at this point?
I think what he stands for is irreplaceable, yeah, because as Pep was saying in that interview just then, he was highlighting the fact that when Sergio came, it was to take the club to a new level, and he has done that. So when somebody comes in now, it isn't to achieve those same objectives. So somebody can come in and can score the goals, but his legacy goes from, transcends not just this moment, but what came before. And I think himself, Vincent Kompany, David Silva, the stuff that they did for the club, that was the true beginning of what Manchester City are now. And I think in this instance now, people who come in, you come into a far different football club where the aim is to win absolutely everything. But at that point, everything still needed to be proven. So what Sergio is and those other players, as I say, I don't think that can be replaced because the needs of the club are in a far different spot now.
I think the only way that somebody comes in and has the same sort of impact as Aguero is if somebody comes in and wins maybe the Champions League 3 times out of the next 6 or 7. That would. I think, Nedum, that would be the only way, wouldn't it, take City to that next level?
Yeah.
Especially if they don't win it this year. Let's say it's Erling Haaland comes in or Mbappe comes in next season and they win the Champions League in their first season, and then 2 seasons later they win it again. That would have the same kind of impact. But Aguero has just been simply, his level of consistency has been just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
I totally agree. And you make a good point about that Champions League being the next stage for them. And I do agree, but then you do wonder to yourself as well, for how City are right now, if, for example, they were to win it this season, it'd probably
wouldn't it be great, Nedum, if Aguero scores the winning goal?
If this is the thing that, like, he's poised now. You look at the guy for what he's done for the club, and City are obviously going for the quadruple, whether they want to talk about it or not. And he could have a huge say in every single one of those things. Up until a month ago, people were saying, "Oh, he's not scored in a year. He's not this." Like, what a way to be able to leave the club. He could be involved in the biggest and most important run in the club's history. And if he does get the chance to play in the Champions League, like, something that needs to be said here for context. Pep said all those great things about him, but he's still also letting him leave. So even though he acknowledges his greatness, I think if you really wanted him to stay,
I've said, don't Nedum, I don't think it's down to form. I don't think it's down to talent.
No.
I think it's purely down to injuries, and I think it's down to his fitness levels. By all accounts, his knees he struggles with his knees. He can't train as often as he wants, as often as the club wants. Doesn't always know if he's going to be fit from one day to the next, one match to the next. That's why he's played so few games. And I think it would be a
big salary.
Well, and that's the problem. It's like to keep him on what would be an emotional level, almost say, right, okay, we're going to give you 100, 150, 200 grand a week to keep you on for a year. Is that money better spent elsewhere? Because as much as City spend a lot of money, they're clever in their recruitment.
They are.
Yeah. And the club's changed as well. Nowadays, you can see them go into a game with 2 strikers on the bench, and it's no problem for them at all. They've earned the right to be in a place where some of their stars can go away or be injured or suspended and so on, and it doesn't really affect the team in a truly negative way. So they've earned the right to be there, and as a consequence, this is probably why Sergio is being allowed to leave, as opposed to years gone by when he was the centrepiece of the whole team.
Nedum, you were on the pitch for what is probably the most iconic moment in Premier League history. Edin Dzeko scoring in the 92nd minute, Sergio Aguero in the 94th as City won the league in the last minute in the most dramatic of fashions. And of course, you lost the game on that day against your former side. Is that the craziest atmosphere you've ever been in?
I would say so, yeah. I would say so. I've had some other moments like that, but the true gravity of the situation, the game itself, didn't really hit home until a few days after, when you start to see the reactions to it and you see how global it was. And it was the only thing that was running on TV for the next, say, month, essentially, in the off-season. It was such a big moment.
Nedum, I was commentating on the game during that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we were fully aware of what had happened. We were fully aware of what Manchester United had done and the implications. Because obviously, you could have gone down that day as well, couldn't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you know what the playing at that point when Dzeko scored? Did you know about the other scores? Did you know about any of whether you were staying up, whether you were going down?
No. So apparently, I think Jamie Mackey knew. And the bench knew after the third goal went in that it didn't matter, because as it went in, you look at the video, there's probably 5 or 6 of us who were like hands on heads on the floor, devastated, because in the same way City had just won the league in the last minute, we felt we'd just been relegated in the last minute. So it was literally equal opposites from that emotional standpoint. But then we look across to our bench, and our manager was happy, the bench was happy, our fans for QPR were happy. And all of a sudden, you've got everybody in a stadium, a 47,000 seater stadium, all celebrating for so many different reasons. And then to be honest, if the game, so let me confess here. So Edin Dzeko scored a header. He scores a header over me to make it 2-2. So I'm very nervous at this point, like incredibly nervous, because I don't know what the state of the other game is. And then I was the last QPR player to touch the ball before they scored their third, because I threw the ball down the line and we lost it from that point. So I'm running back there, hoping and praying that nothing bad happened.
What he's trying to say is it wasn't Aguero, it was actually Nedum and Onouha that won the Premier League for Manchester City.
Thank you. Yeah, that was it.
Listen, as a Manchester United fan, I'm not lost here on the fact that you grew up as a Manchester City fan, you're an ex-Manchester City player, and then just happened to throw the ball straight to the opposition in the 94th minute.
I said to Jay Bothroyd, biggest miscommunication, so I'm going to throw it down here, and I threw it down there, and he didn't go down there. And before you know it, they're driving the ball forward. And as you know, Millsy, like, not every mistake for a goal happens really close to the goal. Like, I knew this was going to be on me if something bad happened. And I'm running back thinking, no, please, no, please, no, please, no, please, no, please, no. Then they score the goal. So I'm distraught, because now I've just relegated my new team at the ground of my old team. And now I might never play against them again, because I'm going to be in the Championship. So I was crushed. But then in the next moment, you look around and you get a feel for what's actually just happened. And it's a tremendous occasion. And like I was going to say, if there was another 5 minutes to go in that game, I guarantee you wouldn't have seen the ball move outside of the centre circle, because for the first time in, my entire career, you're looking at both teams who are exceptionally happy with an outcome. And thankfully for us, even though City had that story, our story actually was the week before, because we needed to win against Stoke, and we scored in the last minute of that game to keep us up, because they were the final points we got that season. So it was a great occasion.
Just tell us how that night went. Did you go back with the QPR players and celebrate, or did you stay up in Manchester with your old teammates and celebrate the title win? Tell the truth now, Nedum. Tell the truth.
No, I'll tell you the truth. So one of the exciting things I thought about playing at the Etihad for the last game of the season was the fact that I still have a house in Manchester. Mm-hmm. So as soon as the game was finished, my house was 15 minutes away from the stadium. So I thought, we can finish this game and I'll be straight home, no issues. But my family and stuff, they got caught in the stadium. But the big comparison between the two teams was, as the game was over, City fans are rushing onto the field. I didn't think I'd be seeing a pitch invasion at the Etihad for some reason. I was naive. They're like, "Oh, we've done it." I'm like, "Yeah, we've stayed up. Yeah, we've stayed up, guys. Yeah, that's what's happened." Because people forgot that, like, I was actually playing for a different club because it was so delirious. We went into the dressing rooms. In our dressing room for QPR, we've got all the beers. The sense of relief is unbelievable. Like, I didn't understand what it was to celebrate 17 until you finish 17, because those seasons are extra stressful. But we've got the relief of the beers, and then we got a knock on the door, and someone invited me over to go and speak to my friends and teammates at City, because I'd been there for 16 years or whatever. I went over there, and they've got the champagne. So that's the subtle difference. But it is alcohol, but it just tastes a bit different when you win as opposed to when you stay up.
Nedum, just quickly, we're talking about Sergio Aguero leaving Manchester City. The big names already being linked: Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe. There might not be a better opportunity for Pep Guardiola to sign one of these two players than this summer. Who would you want to go to the Etihad out of those two?
Oh, it's such a privilege to be a City fan talking about things like this, Who does Pep want to bring in to your club here? I don't know. I think it has to be somebody who is obviously a very good goal scorer, Sergio was, but fits in with what City like to do in terms of pressing from the front and having a real good understanding with teammates and things like this. So I don't know. I kind of like the backstory of Haaland as well, and the fact that his dad played for the team.
I've said this, Nedum. As great as they two are, I think Erling Haaland is a slightly better all-rounder. He's got more of a physical presence. He's going to score headed goals. He's going to hold the ball up a little bit better. He can be an absolute brute at times. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but because he's not. But sort of to exaggerate it, Mbappe is almost a little bit more one-dimensional, two-dimensional. It's using his pace and dribbling to get past people. I think Haaland's got more tricks in his locker.
Yeah. I think with my take on Mbappe is I think he's an incredible player, but I think being at PSG with like Neymar and stuff like this, obviously the substance up is there with the goals, but there's that little hint of flair and making it look nice and so on. But for City, they remind me in some ways of like a Bayern Munich. They're a machine. It's just about the goals. You take your chances, you make the right passes, you do the right thing. If nobody on City's field does a step over in a game, it doesn't matter because they've still done things the right way. Whereas I think at times Mbappe is kind of like a highlight reel guy. As obviously he scores his goals, but he likes that bit of flair. Whereas Haaland, as you've said, I could see him being a hold-up man. I could see him potential runner channel when he needs to. But I see the fact is he has that desire to get in there and score goals by any means necessary. And I think as far as the English league goes, it'd probably suit him, in my opinion, more so than it would do an Mbappe. But let me be clear as well, to wind up Spurs fans, I'd also be very happy if Kane came up north as well. That'd be perfect.
Nedum and Onouha, a real pleasure to speak to you. Make sure you do come and visit us as well and stay for the full 3 hours. We'd love to have you on a show. Pleasure speaking to you. Once there was a time that Manchester City fans had to worry about signing Danny Mills in the summer. This year they get to choose between Haaland and Mbappe.
They got that for free, begrudgingly as well.